This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Lakers also come from the goofy ass department. So as I'm preparing for the show this morning, I am reading that Darvin Ham will have the power to bench Russell Westbrook, and I'm like, it's early August. Do you really want this out there now? And I know you guys are trying to trade him, but if you're forced to keep him because nobody wants him, do you really want him knowing this already right from the get-go? Like, couldn't you guys keep this under wraps? How does this make any sense whatsoever for Darvin Ham to have that out there?
Because, Big O, there are coaches who are just honest. Look, you dealt with Stan Van Gundy in our market. You ask him a question, he provides an answer. True. They asked him in Orlando about Dwight Howard, whether he was dogging it or good enough. Stan gave an answer. Boom, it got awkward. So I respect that. And I think you've had different coaches over the years. As a matter of fact, I would put it this way. Let's say you're Darvin Ham, and I ask you, and this is how the whole thing started. If Russell Westbrook is not playing well in a game, last year Frank Vogel, more often than not, would still play him in the fourth. What's your approach going to be? And I'm sure Darvin Ham was just honest and said, you know what? The best players play the fourth quarter. And if Russ is not making shots and is a liability, I will go with someone else. I have been told by management here that this is the direction that I can go and I can guide my team. That's honest. Matter of fact, I'll give you a parallel, Big O, because you've been out there at all the Dolphins practice.
But it's honest, but you're dealing with a player in denial. I totally understand what you're saying. I totally understand that Darvin Ham should have that power and the front office should give him that power. But because of the player you're dealing with who continues to be in denial and does not understand his lack of efficiency has hurt his game and he has not learned to become more efficient. That's my problem. Is his
I'm going to disagree with you.
What you're dealing with is the problem, not everything.
I think prima donna is a Big O. I totally agree with you, and it's something you have to walk a fine line with athletes. But I think at some point you say we're giving you a crap ton of money for lack of productivity the last few years, especially of course last year when you joined the team. This is how it's going to be, and this is how I equate it. And again, you've been out at the Dolphins practices. I'm going to talk to you on Saturday this week a little bit later when you go out to Dolphins practice again. I think you'd agree McDaniel has some of that in him also. And that he very well might go if Big O asks a question, because everyone knows over decades in South Florida, Big O's a pain in the ass. And if Big O goes to McDaniel and goes, if Mike Gesicki's blocking still is struggling and you're in the fourth quarter and you need a blocking tight end, would you think twice about pulling him? And I can guarantee you, only I've seen the guy from afar, Big O, I think he'd give a candid answer. And he's going, hey, if we're running the ball, like they did with the 49ers.
By the way, he did it with Preston Williams this week.
Yes, and God bless him for what he did.
He dismissed everything about Preston Williams.
Preston Williams isn't on the level of a Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki is a major contract decision. You might have to give tens of millions of dollars to. It's a little bit more. And yet I bet from what I've seen from him from a distance, and you've spoken to all your experts from Omar and everyone else, yeah, I think he would say if we are going to grind out the final possession like they did in San Francisco, and we are going to pound the ball, I'm going to get my blocking tight end in there, and I don't give a rat's butt whether this guy is due for an extension or a new contract next season. We're going to do what's best. So I think you go through these different levels of coaches. Eric Spoelstra is the opposite. He won't lie to you, but he'll go, I know what you're trying to do. He did that to me in the season-ending interview. He goes, yep, you've gotten good at trying to ask those lawyer-like questions, and he'll evade it. It's like Kevin Lockery once told me when I did his radio show, never answer the question, answer the answer. Some coaches are that way, and some coaches are just brutally honest. You know what, Big O? I think you and I can sit here with a list of players who need a dose of honesty, who need a dose of, you know what? You are a horse crap outside shooter, Russell Westbrook. And if you're not 1,000% engaged defensively, then you're a liability for my team. I have Kendrick Nunn coming back this season. He has proven to be good enough to help get a team to the NBA Finals. I might have to go in that direction. So I say, on one hand, is he politically correct? No, you're 1,000% right. It was awkward. On the other hand, in my position, I think in yours also, I think I would take candor every day of the week.
Oh no, I love the candor. I just think that you're dealing with a person that can't handle the candor because they can't act, they don't have the guts to look in the
So
mirror and actually correct their issues, and they
So you know what?
broke.
Let him learn to deal with the candor in August and September. So it doesn't come like a lightning jolt in December, January, and February when he is benched in those fourth quarters. Let him learn how to deal with it now. You know what? I would rather have Russell Westbrook pouting in August and September and October than pouting when the Lakers likely can get back in championship contention this season and having to deal with that crap in April and May.
All right. Things have quieted down immensely. Everything has come to a absolute screeching halt, and it almost seems like it's the Durant domino first before
Of course.
anything else falls. Even the periphery players, Harrison Barnes and Jay Crowder, trying to get out of Phoenix, and is John Collins available? Should
Miles Turner. Yeah.
yeah, Miles Turner, another one who I think would actually excel here. Um,
Matter of fact, let me interrupt you like I always do. I'm going to
yes,
give you two names. Just I'm curious, which is your preference, John Collins or Miles Turner? If the price was equal, which would be your preference?
John Collins, because I think John Collins is more of a consistent scorer and something that Jimmy Butler needs. Whereas I think Miles Turner can be more of a 3 and D guy for you, length guy, help you with the rebounding, but I don't know if I'm going to use him as a pillar of stability in the scoring sense.
And that's why I disagree.
He's more of a PJ Tucker like scorer.
Yes, that's why I disagree with you because this team has thrived the last time it had quality 3 and D with Jay Crowder and PJ Tucker. Plus, Miles Turner's more of a true center, so
Yes,
you can
yes,
get
yes.
Bam, or more of a center than John Collins. You can
I
get
love him
Bam.
here. I love him here. I think
Bam
he would. I
yeah.
think he would play his best basketball here.
Exactly, because he is another of those guys, almost Westbrook-like, has dealt with this emotional instability. With Westbrook, it was the deal from Oklahoma City to Houston to Washington. He's lost his footing. He's lost his way.
No,
I
but
think my
Turner has a skill set that he is good at. He's a good 3 point shooter. He
yes,
can be a good post defender for you and rebounder and all that. And in Miami's system, they will make him even better at those areas. So that's why I love Miles Turner. The Collins thing, because Butler needs a little bit more of a score and star next to him, that's the only reason why I would lean to Collins. But your explanation and why you would go to the Turner makes all the sense in the world.
and then part two of this, and this will be we'll hear all through August in our Acura Pembroke Pines reports, and also you'll hear from Anthony Chang when you have him on. Is this: if I'm these other teams, if I'm the Hawks with Collins, if I'm looking to move him, if I'm the Pacers with Turner, if I'm looking to move him, if I'm the Kings with Harrison Barnes, I'm looking to move him. I start turning the screws, and I start telling these teams who might be interested, the contenders, you can wait for Kevin Durant, you can wait for Donovan Mitchell. I am setting a date of August 21. I am trading Miles Turner. I am trading John Collins. Come with your offer by then, or I go in a different direction. It could be a total bluff, but we also all know the personnel market in all sports is liar's poker. So let me ask you this, Orlando Alzugaray. You're going with Collins. I'm going with Turner. That's fine. If the chips you need to get both of those deals done are Duncan Robinson's contract, first round picks, maybe or maybe not Tyler Hero, but assets you could use for Durant, assets you could use for Mitchell, do you pull the trigger in that liar's poker, or do you wait till September and wait till October? In other words, at what point? Let's set a date here. This is good because you do 2 a week Acura Pembroke Pines reports, so I can circle the day there when I come on with Big O.
Sure.
Is there a date that you would say this is my cut bait date, and I want to go into camp with Miles Turner? I want to go into camp with John Collins. Would you or would you not? Or would you say Kevin Durant is the holy grail and I'm willing to wait?
Here's my problem with this whole thing that's kind of developed now. If
Okay.
if Boston is interested, Miami is out of the Kevin Durant sweepstakes because Boston has the better players that they're going to offer, and Miami already said they're not including Bam. So if they're not, if I'm going by, they're not including Bam. So if you're not including Bam, you're not getting Kevin Durant. It's over, done. So now the Donovan Mitchell, which includes my next question. So I'm going to ask it now in
Okay.
this conversation. emerging suitors for Donovan Mitchell. Okay. Now there are two new teams in the mix, and they're talking about the Wizards and the Hornets. And now what Danny Ainge is doing, and I know what this son of a bitch is doing, he wants 4 billion picks. And so he's going to go to the suckers that are desperate and need a star. And because Donovan Mitchell's under 4-year contract, they control him. And whoever gets him controls him also. So the Wizards or the Hornets or any of these other teams or the Knicks, they're so desperate, they're going to give up way more picks than Miami too. So I'm almost at the point now that I've kind of got the realization that Miami is not, one, they're not going to be stupid enough to give up all the picks. They don't have them anyway, but even if they had them, I doubt they would give up all those picks for Donovan Mitchell on top of Tyler Hero and everything else. So let's move on already.
And that's the thing.
Make your decision between the Miles Turner and the Harrison Barnes and the Jay Crowders and who's the other guy, John Collins.
Yes.
Make your effing decision already, because
and I agree with you, Big O, for this reason. We know, like you said, Boston has the biggest chip put in play for Kevin Durant and Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen Brown's going to be a star-level talent in this league for at least another 5 years and probably longer. He's a really good player who's played in the shadow of Jason Tatum. I agree with you. We know the Knicks by far have a larger package of picks. They're the ones who are being played by Danny Ainge. The Knicks are willing to put in 4. Danny Ainge goes, how about 5? It's like an auction. It's like, and I got 5 picks from the Wizards, and I got 5 picks from the Wizards, and I got 6 picks from the Hornets, and the Knicks are going 7, 8, because they're idiots. Okay, right. So you know you can get outbid player-wise for Kevin Durant. You can get outbid picks-wise for Donovan Mitchell.
Amen.
I agree. And I got to tell you, so let's reset this. Let's let Duncan Robinson go. I wrote about him in the Sun Sentinel today at Ask Ira. Let's say we let Tyler Hero go. We can argue that. And let's say we give up a first-round pick, maybe Jovic, who knows, someone like that. Okay, let's say we do that. If you give me a starting lineup this year, I'm going to go with my preference. We could sub in yours. So starting lineup, let's say we have a starting lineup of Bam Adebayo at center. Either John Collins or Miles Turner, we'll debate that later, at power forward. Right. Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, probably Max Strus for spacing as your starting lineup. The one that got you within one game of the Eastern Conference Finals. And honestly, God bless P.J. Tucker. But P.J. Tucker, by the end of the playoffs, was a guy who looked every bit of his 37, 38 years old. Yeah. That was the difference. And here's the beauty of Tyler Hero if you let him go. And he could emerge as a star. He could emerge as a perennial sixth man. This year, you have Victor Oladipo with a full summer of work. His social media is blown up. You have him with his first ever Miami Heat training camp. So the punch you had off the bench last season from Tyler Hero, you very well could have off the bench this season from Victor Oladipo, basically swapping the two out. Tyler Hero out.
And let's not forget Caleb Martin. He can
get. I didn't even get to the bench. And okay, so you'd have Victor Oladipo coming off the bench as your scoring wing. You'd have Caleb Martin then not having to start coming off as your defender. Honestly, 1 through 4 there. You'd have either Dwayne Dedmon or Omer Yurtseven, whichever direction you're going with that. And that doesn't even get you into the Gabe Vincents and the other younger players and prospects you have also. Plus, once you make a trade and you realize you're going to be hard capped or don't have to worry about the hard cap, you can then put in the rest of your mid-level exception, another $4 million, or your biannual exception and get another player. Because I got to tell you then, Big O, you know Pat Riley and especially Mickey Harrison have already said this. If we are a championship contender, we will go into the tax. We will pay the tax. You and I have debated this for years on your shows in various venues. I would contend to you, if I had a lineup of Bam Adebayo, Miles Turner, Jimmy Butler, and Kyle Lowry in any one of my starting lineup, and I had Victor Oladipo and Caleb Martin and Dedmon or Yurtseven off the bench, you're at least a contender in the East. I'm probably bumping you into top 3. I respect Boston and Milwaukee for their ongoing continuity and success. I need to see with Philadelphia and how many donuts James Harden and strip shows he's going to go to before I can fully respect what he is and who he is. So I have a little bit of doubt of Philadelphia. With Brooklyn, we never know, especially if they make their own Kevin Durant trade anyway. So I think when you look at the Eastern Conference, I think you would look at the Heat and say, yeah, they're going for it. They could even spend more down the road or flip other contracts once the trading deadline comes around. I don't disagree with you, Big O. I think if you can lock in the 4, and you know what? you would have more of a true star level power forward in either Miles Turner or John Collins than God bless PJ Tucker or Jay Crowder.
Sure.
Journeyman, contributing journeyman, but journeyman nonetheless. So I do think there is still a big move from the Heat. So the Heat are saying all the right things. They issued the statement last week through a spokesman. We like our team. We like what we have. Yeah, you like it on August 1st. Let's talk on August 8th, August 15th, August 22nd. There's still stuff to be done. I believe behind the scenes, there's a lot of hand-wringing at 601 Biscayne in the executive suite of FTX Arena of Andy Ellisberg, Pat Riley, Adam Simon, Nick Harrison. When do we pull the trigger? I still think, I hate to use a gun metaphor there, but I still think there's a trigger to be pulled.
Okay, so that's kind of my follow-up question to wrap up this segment with that. So as on the higher level, we've got Utah and we've got Brooklyn playing games and playing people against each other. Okay, that's the Baccarat room. Okay?
Right.
That's where the high level guys are
James
at.
Bond is over there, sure.
Right, exactly. Now let's go over the high level blackjack table. And here's where I want to say, okay, so we've got these two teams playing and pitting other teams against each other. Okay, so now can the Miami Heat and maybe another couple of suitors, can they start playing the pitting game against the four teams that are trying to move Jay Crowder, Miles Turner, John Collins,
Harrison Barnes.
Harrison Barnes.
Yeah.
Those, so because the poker chips are going to run out.
Absolutely,
they're going to run out. And so, can Miami do they have no leverage at the Baccarat table?
Right,
they're out. But in this blackjack table, do they have some leverage that they can play with to try to get the best one of those four in the combination? Whether it's Collins, whether it's Turner, or somebody may think out there Jay Crowder, which I'd rather have the other two, but whatever. Somebody may like Harrison Barnes out there. But does Miami have, a little leverage?
If they are willing to move, and here's the other point, because they so respect the Big O show on 97 different networks and now your own show right here. Big O, I'm going to ask you this question, and let's be honest. For years, the Heat have dealt with the sting of, they didn't get Kevin Durant in 2017. They lost out twice on Gordon Hayward. And the Heat hate the fact that their cast is losing out when what they're doing is they're in every game. So let me ask you this. If they get Miles Turner or John Collins or they get Jay Crowder or they get Harrison Barnes, are you then going to be on your show the end of August, early September with me and our Acura Pembroke Pines reports and telling me, Ira, they blew it. They had a chance to get Mitchell. They had a chance to get Durant. If the offers are less than they are right now.
They didn't have a chance for Durant the last time. They never had a chance for Durant, and we all knew. I knew that, at least. I was saying back then, they're having the meeting because what I said then was Riley, more than anything, wants to plant a seed for down the line, if anything. If it goes awry, he can trade for him and whatever, because that's what he does with disgruntled players.
So what we're talking about is this, is the fear of missing out. Can the Heat be consumed by the fear of missing out, of FOMO, or do the Heat just say to themselves, we got better, that's it. We lost PJ Tucker, we got Miles Turner or John Collins, we got better. Boston, you want to think you're better with Durant? Fine. Knicks, you want to think that Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell is going to get you higher, like Kirk Heelan and I spoke about on our midweek show this week, with Red Recover? Fine. Think that. Think whatever you want. We're fine. That's what it is right now in the entire NBA, is fear of missing out on Durant, on Mitchell. But there is business, and good business, still to be done.
I'd be a hypocrite if I told you I'd be complaining about that, because I'm the one that's telling you I don't think they're done with Durant. Because
and as you know,
I know done with Mitchell because there's suckers out there that are going to give way bigger packages.
Yes.
So that we're down to the other four.
Yes.
That's really where we're at, and that's where I want to move on to, because that's the reality. Unfortunately, Miami doesn't have the ammunition or doesn't want to part ways with Bam. So if they don't want to part ways with Bam, then that's it, dude. We've got to move on.
And I tape every one of your shows, and I'll hold it against you when you start bitching about Mitchell and Durant in September.
Exactly. I won't. But listen, I wasn't worried about Durant last year. You were worried about Durant last year.
Yes,
I
in
was not
fear.
worried about
Yes.
Durant last year. Okay. All right. What are you working on the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out, my
A couple
friend?
of things. Kyle Lowry spoke yesterday at an event in Toronto with Nick Nurse's golf tournament. He said, look, my personal life took a really bad turn last year. I had this major thing that derailed it. I think he used the word derailed like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Oh, whether it's the conditioning of the personal life, the fact that Kyle Lowry acknowledged he was not his best self last year is important because he realizes he has to be better. I don't care what the reason is. I hope his family situation works out for the best, as best as it can. But Kyle Lowry acknowledging he wasn't his best self, that's all I needed to hear, that he knows there has to be more. That's in today's print newspaper. Just posted a story online at sunsentinel.com. Both Nikola Jovic and Omar Yurtseven are bypassing international play. I know that was your preference, that they get in the Heat gym and work their ass off there. Jovic, it became clear, was not going to play for Serbia's national team that has Nikola Jokic, that has Boban Marjanovic, that has Bjelica, our former friend from the Heat. So why go through all that and sit on the bench for Serbia versus getting back to the Heat's gym? And Yurtseven's fascinating. He's a big piece for the Turkish national team, but he wants something big with the Heat this year. And he spoke to me in Summer League. You were out there when he spoke also. And he says, I could see myself playing. And you know what? God bless him if he's going all in, and his lone commitment this season is the Miami Heat. I like that he's putting the ball in Eric Spoelstra's court, and he's saying, I am doing everything possible to be my best self. Now you deny me the playing time because it's on you, coach. So that's at sunsentinel.com right now. So it just shows you, even in early August, this is why we have to have Acura Pembroke Pines reports, because I'll always give you something.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that Omar Yurtseven isn't acting like Preston Williams. He wants to go out there and take it.
Earn it. Right.
Force you to play me. That's what he wants. And we're also fortunate that Kyle Lowry isn't Preston Williams, and he did look in the mirror and say, yeah, I let it go. I screwed up. And that's what you love, because it happens to all of us.
Take
but
ownership.
We all have to acknowledge when we screw up.
You have to take ownership. I agree, Big O.
Yeah, man. All right. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat and catch his exceptional work there at the South Florida Sun Center. You can catch him 3 times a week here, baby. Red Recover Inside the Paint Show. And, of course, right here, the Acura Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat, and NBA Report. Ira, have a fantastic weekend. We will catch you on Saturday, my friend.
Catch you on Saturday evening, Saturday, 4:30. Thank you, Big O.
Thank you. There you go. And Ira will be on with us on Saturday at 4:30. Things got jumbled a little bit, but that's good. It's all good, because remember, we're going Saturday out to Dolphins camp. So I want to do a show on Saturday. I don't want to wait till Monday to talk about that stuff. We'll move on Monday. We'll have more things to talk about. But, Saturday, Sean and I will go out to practice out there and get you the videos, get you the interviews. Don't forget, folks, please subscribe to our channels, because Sean is constantly putting up videos from coaches and players and, everything going on, whether it's Inter Miami, whether it's Miami Heat, whether it's the Miami Dolphins, whether it's the Marlins, whatever. We are putting up all those press conferences for you. So make sure you check it out on our pages. Big O Show Cuts. Subscribe to that one and subscribe to this one that you're watching right now. Big O Radio Show, both on YouTube. Please subscribe. That is Ira Winderman and our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat report.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.